Greetings. I just want to do another short demonstration on the advanced marketing function in the Capstone. We are now at the dashboard, so if you go up to decisions, launch the web spreadsheet, start with draft official decisions, and then decisions again, then into marketing. Let's go to pricing and forecasting to begin with. You'll be familiar with this page because you've done already your market forecast. I want to now have a look at developing promotion and sales budgets. So click on the green icon and you'll see now we have a whole range of options in front of us. Up the front here we've got the promotion budget. Spending on promotion creates awareness. Here we have the sales budget. Spending on sales creates accessibility, enables accessibility. We have a number of options that we can choose when we're in here, and I'll show you where you go to help make decisions about that. Before we start, one of the questions that students always ask is, how much overall should I be spending on marketing? Well, let's assume this is your first year. You've never worked in a company before. You've just started. You maybe not have a real good idea about the industry. A lot of things you don't know. In such situations, what I'd normally do, I'd maybe ask somebody around me, if somebody had been there a while, may be able to give me some idea. Or alternatively, what I would do is I'd stay pretty close to what I'd had last year, what was spent last year. So we can see the promotion budget for the product Able has got 1 million. Again, there's another 3 zeros to be on that, but let's just call it 1,000 for now because it makes it a little bit easier to be able to deal with. So we've got 1,000 now, or $1 million we've spent on it last year. We want to work out what we want to do this year. There are many factors that would influence our spend, but for now we need to be a little bit conservative. So let's just say, in terms of what was spent last year, let's just add another 20% on. That'll keep us in front a little bit of where we were, and it's not going to put us overboard. So we're not going to blow the budget. We don't want to do that, given it's our first year in the company. But we don't want to get behind either. So let's be a little bit conservative now and sort of say, well, I spent $1 million, 1,000. Now we want to make that as 1.2 this year. So let's have a look at what we've got. Our options here about where we can actually invest in are print media, web media, email, trade shows, and so on. Now you'll know that you will be soon aware that each of the our products and segments have different criteria. We need to be able to reach them through different kind of mediums, so we don't spend evenly across the whole lot. You'll see last year's budget was 2. Well, that's not necessarily a real wise thing to do. So let's have a look at what we can do here. So we go in and have a look at print media. We can see with the print media that it's a good form of promotion for the traditional and the low-end segments, but it's poor for high-end and performance, and it's fair for size. So print media is good for these two. So if it's good for traditional and low-end, well then let's spend a bit of money on it. Let's spend a bit there. So we'll just deal with the traditional at this stage. So we've got 200 on it. I'm going to put it up to 400 here. We can come back and adjust these a bit later on, but I'm going to make that 400. I'll recalculate and see what we've got here. So I'm up to what I was wanting to do. I wanted to add another 20% onto that, and I've already got that. So let's go through and have a look at a few of the other options that we have here. Direct mail. Direct mail is good for traditional and good for the low end. Okay, well let's spend a bit more on that one there. So we'll put another 400 there. Web media. How is that going? Let me see. It's poor for traditional and poor for low end. Okay, so, well, if it's poor, we don't really want to be spending too much on it. Why would we? If nobody's using it and it's not going to help us sell, we can probably save a bit of money and not do anything to it. You could, of course, spend nothing on it if you want. My view is that I always put a bit on it. I always like to keep a little bit in there. So, even if it's just a small presence in there, you've got to remember that this is $20,000 really, so it's not chicken feed, but and these are $400,000, but I leave a little bit there. You never know, just by having a presence there, we might be able to pick something up. Let's have a look at the next option here, email. It's very poor for traditional in this segment, and poor for low end as well. So let's go along and have a look at that. So there's no point spending too much more on that. Again, I might just leave that to $20. Trade shows. How are we going for trade shows? It's fair. Okay, so for traditional, so I won't spend that much on it. I'll put that, and let me calculate and see what we've got here. 940. So I've got a fair bit of money left over now. I've saved a lot of money by not spending on web media and email. So I'm going to go back in and bump these up a bit, because these were good segments, good options for promoting our goods in that particular market. And I want to get it around about that. Okay, so I've got it on 1, 2. I might put another one on trade show, seeing it was fair. And that gives me 1240. That's close enough. So if you remember that last year they had the money distributed across evenly, just 200,000 across every one. That wasn't such a good strategy, because some of these particular options are more suitable for various segments. So what I've done is I've just allocated the money where that is best spent. And it's around about my 20% on. You don't need to be exact on this, and you need to go through then and do it for all of them. Print media, for example, for the high end is very poor, so I wouldn't be spending too much on on that there. Again, I'd keep a presence, but I wouldn't be doing a real lot there. Go through and do that with all of them, but just spend your money wisely. Put your money in where you're going to get the best bang for your buck. So that will be then your when you've done all of those, that's your promotion budget. Now the sales budget. Let's have a look at what we've got here. We have outside sales. These are sales people out there selling our products. We have inside sales. These are people manning phones, and those kinds of things, taking calls. And we have distributors, where we just let them distribute our products in various areas. So we've got a couple of icons that we look at here, and I'll just point this out to you, that these information icons are really important. Everywhere you go in the segment, you'll find that there's a lot of information for you. Look, if you get stuck on something, just click that, and the chances are it's going to answer your question. So there's no reason why you really shouldn't get stuck on things here, because there's a lot of help around. So let's just have a look at what we've got here in the traditional segment. So this is the effectiveness for each of these particular options here. Outside sales for traditional segment is low. Inside sales is medium, and distributors is high. Okay, so we get the best bang for our buck on distributors. Let's use the same notion here. We're going to increase it around about another 20%. So let's just say we want to get this one up to about 1,000. It'll look like 1,000. It'll actually be 1 million. So let's bring that up to about 1 million, and that'll keep us out of trouble. So just recall again, the outside sales were not useful, inside sales were medium, and distributors were high. So at the moment we've got employing 2 outside sales people, we've got 6 internal people on sales, and we have 2 distributors. We might need to do something about this. Let's have a look at what they cost us. Each outside salesperson is going to cost us $125,000. So in there is $250,000 it's costing us to keep those 2 there. Now, they're not. We don't need 2, because it's not a really effective way of dealing with it. So let's just have 1. Look, you could have none if you wanted to, but again, I wouldn't mind spending $125,000 to have somebody out around, and maybe they're doing more than just selling when they're out there. They could be looking at what competitors are doing and picking up information they could feed back in. That's why I always like to have a bit of a presence in each of these particular options here, certainly in the promotion area and here as well. So then we got to, let's recalculate that then and see what we can see what's that making it. We should save a bit of money now, because we did. That's 125,000 less, because we're only got 1 there. Now distributors were good. So what do they cost us? They're $100,000. So every distributor we use, it's going to cost us $100,000, but they're effective. So let's make that 4. And we're getting up to 825. Inside sales, well, if you remember, inside sales were medium. So it's a call on what you would do with that one. I'd probably put a couple more on there. They're $50,000 each. So I'd put another 2 there and see what that gives us. gives us 600 and, oh no, hang on, I'm sorry, I should have put, should make that 8 because it was 6. And now I'm getting up to 925. I'm a little bit under. I could probably sit on that, but I'm gonna sort of go out on a limb here, and I'm going to spend a bit more, and I'm going to put in another distributor. There we go. There's my 1025. I wanted to get it up to about 1,000, but it's it's a little bit over. That's fine. Don't worry about that. The important thing is that I've now distributed my budget across the areas where it's going to be most effective, and you need to go through now and do that for the rest of your particular products. Don't worry about time allocations. We'll come to that later. But for now, just get your promotion budgets and your sales budgets ready, and we'll deal with the rest later on. We go back now into decisions. So you can see what we've got here. We've got 1240 for promotion under Able. If we go back into marketing and have a look under prices and forecasting, we can see we've got 1.24 from Able. That total just transfers across into this one here. So that's the advanced marketing, folks, and I'll see you soon.